If I was to tell you guys 24 hours ago that Nate Diaz will be fighting Leon Edwards, I don't think you'd have bought that. And I don't think you'd have any problem with it, but I don't think that you would have bought it because I must tell you, my reaction to this, I was very pleasantly surprised for multiple reasons. First off, Nate is being very consistent in what Nate does, which is he only takes super hard fights. People giving Nate a hard time about his record. You go look at the guys Nate fought. You tell me anybody else that's going to have a better record against that kind of competition. So Nate is staying consistent. However, an inconsistency is Nate generally fights somebody he's got some kind of a problem with. And he'll manufacture that problem out of thin air if he needs to. Somebody who's ranked higher than him and doesn't deserve it. Somebody who's been given opportunities that he hasn't been given and he deserves them. Something along these lines. I don't know where the Leon one came from. Now, I look forward to finding out. I'm not bringing you guys an answer. I'm asking questions right now, but I will look forward to hearing where this germinated. Be very curious. I also have to look at it with the inconsistency on Leon's part. It was 2 months ago, Leon refused to fight Khamzat Chimaev for the reason being Khamzat Chimaev was not ranked. You guys see the problem? You see the problem? Now, Leon gets a bit of a pass because Leon is one of the few guys, not named Neil Magny, who did agree to do the fight. He did agree. Leon eventually agreed to fight Chimaev. I'm just sharing with you what's different now than was then. Now, we know the answer. We know what the answer is. But I'm calling it out. I'm calling it to people's attention because this seems to be a thing, particularly at 170 pounds, as a way of getting out of fights. To talk about some ridiculous number like a ranking. To avoid Chimaev specifically has to do with talking about he's not ready. You see the problem. You weren't fooling us back then for your reasons to not fight Chimaev. You're not going to fool us now for your reasons of wanting to fight Diaz. I'm just bringing it out that we're all on the same page. We're all on the same page. This fight, by the way, in case you guys don't know, is a 5-round fight. The reason that's of interest is it is a co-main event that is not a championship fight. The reason that is of interest, it has never been done before, that a non-title, non-main event be 5 rounds. So now that this precedent is about to be set and this is upon us, it's something we're going to have to get used to. That's just a reality. I don't know if you like that. I don't know if you don't like that. I don't know if that makes things better. I'd be open to all ideas. I can tell you one night I saw 3 championship fights. All of them went the distance, and it was too much. It was just simply too much. You had 3 5-round contests scheduled. 15 rounds later, we finally have conclusion and can get up and go home. So I would be curious what you guys think. And you may not know what you think until after it's done, right? You may not know. This predicated, at least in my opinion, from Masvidal Covington. Let me explain. They were looking to make Masvidal Covington. This was last year, like December, maybe even November. And they go, okay, well, this isn't a championship fight, and we're not going to put the BMF up. In fact, we need to put it on pay-per-view. And if we go pay-per-view, we like to have a title fight. That means you guys are co-main. But to put you 2 maniacs in there in a 15-minute fight just doesn't seem right. So we're going to do this for 25 minutes. Now, that never got announced publicly. And had it been announced, I was ready to go. I was going to spring on that. No. You want 5 rounds? He's got to put up the belt. I don't like the idea that the BMF belt doesn't have a lineage. I want the BMF belt to live on. I think you guys are with me. And if you got a champion in the match, you're going to tell me it's a non-championship match? Wrong. You're going to tell me it's 25 minutes, but Colby doesn't have a chance for the BMF belt? I was ready to fight back. But it didn't happen. However, we are still left with the ideas of whoever came up with that idea in the first place, that it is going to carry on, go 25 minutes. Because I think Nate Diaz likes that, right? I don't know a lot of fighters that would prefer to go longer, prefer to train harder. I don't know a lot of them, but I know they exist, and I think Nate's one of them. Nate's big problem with the way that Masvidal fight ended is that they were just getting into the championship rounds, which is where the ones he was planning to win. I only bring that to you because it's pretty interesting, and the fight does change. And if you do look at Leon and how crisp he is, And I realize Leon was laid off, but he won't be coming into this fight with a layoff. It will be Nate with the layoff. Historically speaking, and Nate Diaz speaking, that first round is a throwaway. I mean, Nate gets warmed up in that first round. He likes the longer matches. I do think the fact that it's 25 minutes, I think that is going to change the breakdown. I think that is going to change the X's and O's. I even read a headline today that Leon starts off as major favorite over Diaz. Well, he was only a plus 285. It wasn't even a 3-1. By Leon's standards, he's ranked number 3 in the world. That's pretty close, quite frankly. Less than 3-1 odds. That's not a bad line. And I'm not positive that the people that set the line or the people that have weighed in on that with placing a wager so far are aware of the 5 rounds. I think that's going to change things. I'm speculating. Let's see where all that goes. As I speak to you about the lineage of the BMF, of which I firmly believe, I must tell you, Conor McGregor, and here is the treat of my day. Conor McGregor has come out and suggested that the UFC make a belt for his trilogy fight with Dustin. Now, as much as that's never going to happen, it's also very unlikely that Conor ever thought it would happen or wanted it to happen. This was just the master at work, and that is a troll job to the highest of levels. A guy who just got cleaned up but wants a championship put up on his... It's the way you handle it. It's the way you handle it. Never happened. Never happened if you didn't want it to happen. Sean O'Malley just did it. Never lost to Cheeto. Never happened. Moved on. Careful what he let in his bubble. Now, Conor did it in a little bit more of a fun way, but I mean, this is the turn of turns. The guy that got cleaned up is the guy saying it should be a title fight, and not just any title. Should be specifically for him. I mean, that's the way you do it. You move on. So many fighters will tell you, well, you're only as good as your last fight. Says who? Who made that rule? Where is that written down? And with what authority was it stated? There's no rules and there's no policies that apply to you if you don't want them to apply, and if you're smart enough to do something about it, which I will submit for you, Conor McGregor just did.